use it?
Yeah, read in his hearings. Well, she might. Well, anyway, if the department's happy with it being there, and I think it can just stay right where it is. I might use it. Anyone might use it.
Do you ever use it?
I could. Jerome,
Do you ever?
called my courtroom. I'll do what I like.
No, but do you ever?
I could.
Future. That's like a witness
Well,
giving evidence.
It's good. I could.
You could.
I could climb that mountain, but I now can't. That's it. Never did it my entire life, but I could.
So it's the same as the Supreme Court, is it?
It is. Yep. So what'll happen is you'll stand up and say, in precedence, Supreme Court, and then if you remain standing, Chief will then say your name and do a brief summary of your career, and then you'll sit down, and then the next person will stand up, say rank and precedence following, remain standing, and then Chief will say a brief summary. But when you kick it off right, the rest of them follow. They're all good little ducks. That's when the first person doesn't go, oh, come on. So what happens is Chief comes on, I give him a look so he knows everyone's on the bench, and then Emma will do the opening for the ceremony, and then I'll give you a look, and you'll know, yep, time to stand. Yep. And just so you know, Mr. Brennan, we've now started to stream live to YouTube, so anything we say is being broadcast. How are you? It's Silk Bows. Yep. You have a look on the Bar Association website. There's a list of all the barristers who have got silk. Yeah. That's it. What's the name? Richard Potter. Yeah, Richard Potter. I can tell you. What am I going? Not today, no. Where is he? Potter. Must have been, must have been yesterday. No.
Two of you?
No.
I'm only doing a brief announcement.
All good? All good. Good. Yep. We're going great.
Happy days.
Mum's going to love a coconut drop. She'll make her dash. She says it's the best type of assistance because she offered it. She's brownie points. Smart lady. Don't have as many today. Yeah, it's a much nicer room. Yes, I get it. No, it was nice. It was good. Nice. when was that one? Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
interesting. I'm looking forward to learning something. Oh, very interesting.
It all worked out okay in the end, but it was not largely worked out the way she was being managing both ends.
And who informs a reliable source?
Yeah, so there would have been a few of them.
I would hope.
We
I would hope.
all
The one with the email instructions.
Jonathan Redwood.
but then quite excited that
Again?
running really hard
Lies?
to know what it is.
Okay.
And that they had quite as well as well. But
I imagine they did a very good job.
I think she heard all about
Let's hope so. For everyone's sake.
statutory powers. It was her theme. So yeah.
Oh, yes, okay, gotcha.
Oh goodness.
I did know that they say something about it. Yes, so you say that, is that what you wrote? Says something that you see, who knows what it is.
Well, it's easy to make because by the time you get to make every possible permutation of doing something slightly differently will have occurred.
Yes, I know.
Oh, Amanda says my phone can go to the back, whatever.
All right.
Oh, it's strange. I see.
Does anybody have a phone number for Mr.
And
Redwood?
they're like, who's that? Oh, Alexa.
Just check.
Don't want to start without him if he's only a moment away or anything. We've got a number here. Taven's just going to call.
Oh,
Sorry.
great, thank you.
I've run one of the great admin law cases in the accounting side.
Oh,
A collateral challenge to
Oh, beautiful. Thanks, Em. We're just missing one barrister who's reading his clerk now.
okay. Having practiced in the jurisdiction.
it's yeah.
Love it.
It's fantastic. We're against particular point of the court jurisdiction. Collateral challenge which was done for 3 days.
Doesn't sound collateral to me.
And Court of Appeal decision. She'd forgotten.
Well, at
We
least
decided
25
the point
minutes.
against that.
So many permutations to it.
Very bank has hung up.
Do we know where the number is?
No, well, that's why I was trying to call bank the chambers. Just hang up.
And he's not here.
You could have done
But I'll put a line through in a way that if he was to turn over the next 30 seconds, check
the one that is adjacent to it.
clearly.
Oh, yeah, that's it. So you click
Oh, some sticky notes in case
Right.
it's going to be able to. Do you want to show that to him before he comes home to see if it's like, and so actually Mr. Redwood's not here, so you do that. Oh, he's here. Grab him.
Oh, here we go. Ability to click around the jet.
Give it and then turn it in.
Oh, he's a calculator.
You want it?
Yeah, John says.
No, no, great. Silence or stand, please.
This is a ceremonial sitting of the District Court of New South Wales to mark the occasion of the presentation of Senior Counsel to the Court.
I have the honour to announce that I have been appointed Senior Counsel for the State of New South Wales, taking rank and precedence next after my learned friend Richard William Potter.
Thomas Joseph Brennan SC, since your admission to the bar in 2006, you have made your reputation in a broad range of areas, including equity, administrative, competition, consumer, constitutional, insurance, employment and private international law. Your specialisations include aviation law and government regulation.
I have the honour to announce that I've been appointed Senior Counsel for the State of New South Wales, taking rank and precedence next after my learned friend Angus Ralston Lang.
Huda Yunan SC, since your admission to the bar in 2007, you have made your reputation in appellate, commercial, criminal, administrative and taxation law. In particular, your expertise focuses on customs and anti-dumping, extradition and sports law.
I have the honour to announce I've been appointed Senior Counsel for the State of New South Wales, taking rank and precedence next after my learned friend Huda Yunan.
Sophie Genevieve Callan SC, since your admission to the bar in 2007, you have made your reputation in a diverse range of practice areas, including appellate, criminal, administrative and taxation law, as well as environment and planning law. Your criminal practice has included Commonwealth prosecutions and appeals for environmental offences, drug importation, white-collar crime and terrorism. Your commercial practice focuses on insolvency, contract and insurance disputes. Since 2009, you have also been a reserve legal officer in the Royal Australian Air Force.
I have the honour to announce that I have been appointed Senior Counsel for the State of New South Wales, taking rank and precedence next after my learned friend Justin Richard Williams.
Yasin Sharif SC, since your admission to the bar in 2007, you have made your reputation in professional negligence and discipline, equity, employment, industrial, corporate and insurance law. You have represented the Crown in Commonwealth criminal matters relating to white-collar crime, counter-terrorism and illicit drug importations. You have also represented ASIC, the Fair Work Ombudsman and the Australian Building and Construction Commission. David Anthony Lloyd SC, since your admission to the bar in 2008, you have made your reputation in a broad practice including equity, inquest, personal injury, commercial and appellate law. Notably, you appeared as counsel assisting the Royal Commission into institutional child abuse.
I have the honour to announce that I've been appointed Senior Counsel for the State of New South Wales, taking rank and precedence next after my learned friend David Anthony Lloyd.
Jonathan Allen Redwood SC, since your admission to the bar in 2013, after practising at the Victorian Bar from 2006, you have made your reputation in commercial disputes and class actions, appellate and administrative law, international arbitration, and inquests and inquiries. You have taught law at the Universities of Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. At present, you are the Vice President of the Australian Centre of International Commercial Arbitration.
I have the honour to announce that I have been appointed Senior Counsel for the State of New South Wales, taking rank and precedence next after my learned friend Jonathan Allen Redwood.
Perry David Hurstville SC, since your admission to the bar in 2013, after practising at the Victorian Bar from 2009, you have made your reputation in class actions, professional liability, commercial, constitutional, insurance Appellate, Public and Private International Law. You are also the co-author of Interpretation, 2nd edition.
I have the honour to announce I've been appointed Senior Counsel for the State of New South Wales, taking rank and precedence next after my learned friend Perry Pearson.
Timothy David Castle, SC, you first came to the bar in 1992, recommencing your practice in 2013. You have made your reputation as a commercial litigation specialist, acting in complex commercial and financial disputes in the areas of commercial, company competition, franchising, financial services, equity, professional discipline and administrative law. In 2013, you established the first United Nations Commission on International Trade Law National Coordination Committee in Australia and are the current chair of that committee. On behalf of the judges of the District Court, I congratulate you upon your appointment as Senior Counsel. When each of you took your bows announcing your rank and precedence in order of Senior Counsel, the short recitation by me that followed demonstrates how well deserved your appointments are. In this year of virtual courtrooms and appearances by remote means, I'm absolutely delighted to be able to take your bows in person, even though COVID-safe physical distancing has required 2 ceremonies. The challenges that the pandemic has presented the courts this year has required flexibility on the part of the judiciary and counsel. However, there is a remarkable similarity with the difficulties that courts faced in 1919 when the Spanish influenza reached Australia. In an attempt to contain the outbreak of the Spanish flu, the steps taken in New South Wales then included the establishment of special isolation depots, compulsory mask wearing in public, and restrictions in movement by public transport. The regulation of these measures involved the criminal law. By way of illustration, in February 1919, the proprietor of a sale yard at Parramatta was charged with causing, I quote, a number of persons to gather together, close quotes, contrary to a proclamation under the Public Health Act. In March of the same year, 2 persons appeared in Newcastle Police Court charged in the following terms. I quote, being pneumonic influenza contacts and having been directed by nurse Muriel Fletcher to remain in the place at 60 Watt Street and restrained from leaving it, did leave such place before being discharged by the officers of the Board of Health. The Spanish flu had a severe impact upon the courts, infecting many court staff. The Goulburn Evening Penny Post reported in an article published in June 1919 that the suburban police courts would be compelled to resort to half-day sittings unless the epidemic abated. Remarkably, the courts continued to sit, which included jury trials in the Supreme Court and the predecessor of this court, the Court of Sessions. Greg Woods, an eminent silk before he became a judge of the District Court in 1997, recounts in his work, A History of the Criminal Law in New South Wales, 1901-1995, Volume 2, I quote, regulations requiring the wearing of face masks made judges anxious to balance dignity against self-preservation. Chief Judge Cullen and colleagues sitting in the Banco Court, he quotes from an article, sitting in the Banco Court today intimated that they have received a letter from the Attorney General stating that judges would be exempted from wearing masks, but members of the public, members of the bar who remove their masks should keep a reasonable distance away, close quotes. An article in the Sydney Morning Herald on the 12th of April 1919 reports that there were no masks to be worn in the High Court. Sir Samuel Griffiths, the Chief Justice of Australia, Mr Justice Barton and Mr Justice Rich did not wear masks when they entered the High Court. However, counsel at the bar table and the officers of the court, including the associate, had their masks on. Mr Blackett of King's Counsel, on behalf of the 4 barristers in the appeal, asked for leave to dispense with the masks, which was granted. Social distancing was required of all court participants. Under the heading, Precautions at Court of Sessions, the Goulburn Evening Penny Post, published on the 4th of February 1919, included the following. I quote, at this morning's sittings of the Goulburn Court of Sessions, His Honour Judge Bevan congratulated the jurors and the public for the way in which they had refrained from congregating in the court and the vestibule. It was, he said, in the interests of public health that such steps should be taken, and he was glad there had been so little need to enforce the request he had made at the beginning of the sessions, close quotes. As Jean-Baptiste Alphonse Carr wrote in 1849, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Honourable James Spiegelman AC, during his time as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, regularly emphasised the significance of the longevity of our institutions for the administration of justice. The tradition of the appointment of silk dates back, as you know, over 400 years. Whilst the name and the method of appointment may have changed, the central leadership role that you play in upholding the rule of law has in no way diminished. On behalf of all the judges of the District Court, I wish you as Senior Counsel every success in your leadership roles at the bar. Please join us now for morning tea.
All stand, please.
I didn't know we were.
And to note to self, update my CV.
What do we wear to morning tea?
If you want to take it down, if you're welcome to, if you wish to remain in it, you're welcome to do that as well.
Thanks very much. We're going to take the week off. Thank you. Is it just around?
It's just literally straight across.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Hi, Jane. They are. Thank you. Thanks.
Lisa,
John.
we'll see you
Thanks.
next time round.
You will. Thank you. That's a wrap for 2020. How good's that?
I noticed there was an application in the paper a couple of weeks ago
There was.
for positions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Have you got a few applications or not?
Oh, usually. Yeah. It goes to statutory appointments. They don't actually send them to us directly. So.
Oh, they don't.
Yeah, and in about a week we'll get a list of who applied and who didn't. So yeah. Normally there's a few though, you know.
That's good then.
Yeah, no.
For next year.
That's it. Some fresh faces.
All right, we'll see you, Lisa.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anything we